Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to this very special Super Bowl edition of the Beyond Bitcoin show. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, February the 3rd, 2019. Value your wealth in Bitcoin, not in the NFL. Seriously. Okay. Strong hand, long-term thinking. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. And yeah, we're going to just talk about Venezuela today because there's a lot of confusion about what's going on there. All these rumors, conspiracy theories, all sorts of stuff. So we've got a guest, Maximo from Venezuela here. And Juan Galt is also here to ask some questions. I don't even know where Juan Galt is now. He's at some undisclosed location in some undisclosed country somewhere. Who knows? But I want to start out with Maximo. And people in the chat, you can ask questions too. Hopefully I'll see some of them. Maximo, a lot of people are saying this is a coup. Is it? I mean, is this a United States coup? Like some people are saying? What's going on there? Unmute.
Yeah. No, it's not a coup. It's not a coup. Definitely. And it's not the United States forcing some politics to some politicians to take Maduro out of the government. We have to go back into 2018. Maduro won the presidential elections, but those elections were not legal. 3 years ago, the opposition, we won the Congress by like we have like 87% of the Congress in our power, and after that, Maduro's regime created like another Congress, another illegal Congress, saying that those elections were not in place. And the other illegal Congress was the one who called for the presidential elections, and they also cheated on those elections. So that presidential election was not legal, and because of that, if you look to the Venezuelan constitution, the National Congress can pronounce a new president because the last year the presidential elections were not legal, so we don't have like a recognized legal president right now, and that's what they did. And Juan Guaidó, the president of the National Congressman, proclaimed himself as interim president of Venezuela, and a lot of countries recognizing him. It's all completely legal.
Okay. So, and again, I want to just put this out there again, because there's some people who think this is some master plan by the United States or some other country. This seems to be organic. Is this true? I mean, this is coming from the people.
Yeah. Well, do you have to look at the pictures? Look, the socialists and communists of the world have done a pretty good job hiring journalists from first world countries to spread lies, and that's what is happening. And you see all these people talking about what's going on in Venezuela, and they don't have a clue of what's really going in here. And they are defending Maduro's regime, saying that the United States government is just doing this because they want the Venezuelan oil. Dude, yeah, probably, of course, every country wants some wants the other country's oil or gold or natural gas. That's obvious. But what do you think China and Russia are here working with Maduro because Putin is just a good guy? No, he wants the oil too. He wants to steal our country also. So it's not like the U.S. government has planned this for a long time. That's not true, man. It's the people in here tired of the social and economic situation, and we are taking action. That's it.
There you go, people. Pound that like button. It's not some master plan that Trump's been working on since the very beginning. The people are tired of the situation. Now, we've had Maximo, we've had other people from Venezuela on this show for a few years now telling us about how unfortunate the situation is there. So it seems pretty logical the people would get pretty tired of it eventually and figure out a way. Well, as you said, there were some illegal elections, and according to the Constitution, this is the way to bring about repair to those illegal elections. Now, Juan Galt, do you have any questions here? You have some stuff to say, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at this. Am I being muted?
No, you're fine. You're good. No, I hear you.
Great. Yeah, I've been looking at the situation, quite fascinated, mainly because from the libertarian perspective, there's been a big narrative, and not just libertarian. I think the mainstream media has been saying how bad the situation in Venezuela is for the past like 20 years, just drumming it up, and it's been getting worse and worse. And I think everybody that I know is sort of concerned about the situation in Venezuela. But now with Trump sort of pushing, just getting into the game, pushing the cards, right? It seems like everybody's saying, oh well, the United States has had a role in the situation in Venezuela. So I just want to bring that up for context, and I think we could probably discuss it a little bit and break it down. So the first thing that happened that's really relevant to our audience and the sort of the things we talk about in the show is that as far as we can tell, the United States called up the United Kingdom and was like, hey, you know that gold that you're holding for Maduro, just don't give it to him. And they followed that. They did that. So they refused Maduro the gold.
That's
now,
not true.
the defense of that is that it's not true that they refused Maduro the gold.
No.
I mean, it's not Maduro's gold; it's Venezuela's gold, and Maduro's
No, it's not true that Trump called the United Kingdom. They did it. They took that decision, and they will have took it whether it was Maduro's or someone else's president's, because there is a contract where you cannot withdraw that gold until someday. I don't remember what the day is, but that's the reason.
So you're saying that the United Kingdom refused this to give them their gold because of the United Kingdom's own rules, not because of what the United States told them to do.
Yeah. That's the case.
I still it goes to the point. Not your vault, not your gold.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter, either United Kingdom didn't want him to have it, or the United States didn't want him to have it. But you could continue, Juan Galt.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's understandable that they will refuse them the gold in a sense, because that gold is not Maduro's, and if Maduro's presidency is in question, then certainly it is almost like good for them to do that, since they have that power, right? Granted, again, not your gold vault, not your gold, but okay, so that's where it began, and that was sort of the big news flash that I saw. And then now, some of the big neocons, right, like John Bolton, I think his name is, or Mr. Bolton, a few other people that have been involved in regime change in the Middle East for a long time, are now basically coming out again and being put in charge of this sort of incursion into Venezuela, right? And so the libertarian argument is, it doesn't matter what's going on over there, you shouldn't get involved. But on the other hand, we have this sort of reporting by this woman that's I think the Empire Files or something. She had some big reports there, and she's the one painting this as a complete sort of American invasion, and painting the resistance movement by Juan Guaido as a kind of as an American puppet. But she never pointed out that Maduro's sort of election was basically held by a new Congress that he spawned up. Like, he just created a parallel government and said, hey, So that's really fascinating. I just wanted to lay that out to give some context. I'm really curious about if you could share with us some of the instances of election fraud that you have heard about, because I haven't really, I've heard that there was election fraud, but I would love to hear some examples.
Yeah, well, the first example is the government using all the money to make publicity about Maduro, and sanctioning all the other national channels if they put the opposition leader, if they give the opposition leader some room to speak, and they cannot put in on publicities and all that kind of stuff. So that's censoring. That's the first one. That's before the election take place. You know, they always do this. When the election take place, you gotta understand that the state is like the organization with most employees here in Venezuela. Like I can say like 60% of the people are employees of the states, and that's a strategy that all socialist and communist countries do, because then you control the people, you know, and they force the people to vote for the government in order to not fire them. So that's cheating also. And there have been proof about a company that's called Smart Matis, which is the company who handles the machines that the government used for the people to vote, and those machines are manipulated. So there is a lot of stuff, and you see like the results on the machines do not match the results on paper. So after the elections, the government sent like the National Guards to take all the paper that is printed when you vote, so people cannot make cannot match all both results and see that they're having fraud. So those are the three cases that I can say that is the governments always play the same thing again and again.
Wow.
Now I want to say, I think part of in the U.S. people are trying to, I guess, downplay what's going on or blame it on the United States, because certain people in the United States are fearful, or very fearful the United States will get into another military altercation, and they're so scared of that they're willing to just say, well, this is a coup by the United States. We shouldn't be touching this at all. What I want to ask is, do you see this turning into a war, or do you think that an economic sanctions that Maduro's already on the way out with the current economic situation? And would do the people there even want the United States to help economically or militarily, or is the United States even on the radar of the people of Venezuela?
Yeah, they are. Look, here's the situation. Okay, we have a lot of people, a lot of bad people who are drug dealers, murderers, thieves, and they are in charge of our country. So it's not going to be easy. They are not going to leave the power of the country by elections, by democratic ways, because if they do that, they will end up dead or in jail. So they have no option. They have to hang on to that power as long as they can. That's a problem, because we don't have guns. That's the thing. We cannot go out there and like make a civil war, because the normal people in Venezuela do not have guns. So you have like 10-15 million people going on the streets, and if 1,000 National Guard want to shot them and kill them, they can, because we cannot defend ourselves. So that being said, yeah, we probably need some overseas intervention in order to take these guys out of the power, out of the control of the Venezuelan government. It's complicated because overseas intervention, we have like two examples. The first example is Syria, Libya, Iraq, and they all end up getting worse after the US or some other country intervened. And the other example that we have is Panama. There was an overseas intervention. Actually, it was the US getting to Panama in order to take Noriega out. And Panama right now is a very nice place with a really decent economy, and people are not like dying or starving or something. So those are the two scenarios. I would like to end up like Panama, really, but I don't know, because in here the problem, you gotta understand, why is the US government and other countries getting involved? And the reason is you have these guys committing crimes against humanity, killing people, kidnapping people. That's the first one. You cannot allow that in the world, you know. The second one is that Venezuela is like the niche of a lot of terrorist organizations. We have here one terrorist organization called La FARC, which is a Colombian terrorist organization. And there have been proof that the Venezuelan government have been helping like Al Qaeda, Hezbollah, and all those like Middle East terrorist organizations. So that's a threat for all the world. And finally, the Venezuelan government, like the president Nicolas Maduro, their childs are in jail in the United States because of dealing drugs. So the Venezuelan government are drug dealers, like recognized drug dealers, and that's another problem. So that's why the U.S. government and other governments are trying to intervene in order for those problems not to grow and become a real threat to their nations.
Whoa, I want to point one very important thing out that you said. Well, I want everybody out there that's in the United States of America to pound that like button for the Second Amendment, because listen to what he said. He said, we have no guns. If the National Guard just want to mow us all down, they can do that. I mean, this is people in the United States, make jokes about the Second Amendment. Oh, we don't need guns. The government is always great. I mean, look at the story he just told. I mean, that's a really big thank God the United States has a Second Amendment. I had forgotten about Panama. We do focus on all of the recent meddling, the United States getting into these situations. But that one from whatever it was from 1989, I don't even remember when it was, the Panama thing, that turned out all right. So I mean, there's so many people in America who don't talk about that situation now, because there's just a bad taste in everyone's mouth in America to, another military intervention is what's going to happen here. And but again, I do wonder economically if some of the things that the United States can do can help bring about the end to the situation.
Actually, there have been a lot of changes in terms of economics because of the sanctions. Look, the company who handles the oil sales from Venezuela, from Venezuela in the United States is called Citgo.
Yes.
Trump administration blocked their accounts, so they cannot sell oil to the United States companies, private companies, and those sales represent like 85% of the sales of oils of the Venezuelan government. So you took out liquidity, like dollar liquidity, out of Maduro's hands. So that's good. Because if you leave Maduro's regime without money, they cannot bribe the military forces, and they probably won't defend Maduro's regimes anymore.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like, do you think the army will switch if they can't be paid anymore? They will take him out, possibly.
Yeah, and for sure. I'm completely sure about that.
Well, that's good. The other thing I wanted, that you said that's been rumored for quite a while, but people don't believe it, is that Middle Eastern terrorist organizations are related to have presence in Venezuela. You are pretty sure of this.
There have been proof of that. Look, probably the people in the United States do not know this because the press is not interested of publishing that. They just want to publish bad things about Trump, but they're not saying that the Venezuelan government are criminals. They don't tell you that. You have to figure it out that for yourself. That's the issue. And also, you know that we have currency and capital exchange in here. And normally, like from the past 20 years, the price of the dollar in the black market have been higher than the price of the official dollar in here, right?
Yeah.
because the government used those dollars for themselves. They don't give it to the people, so you have to go to the street to buy it. After the sanctions, because the Venezuelan government needs to acquire more dollars, they set up the price of the official rate of the dollar higher than the black market price of the dollar. So right now, if you have a bank account in another country, it's cheaper for you to use those dollars than to use bolivars in here. And that's a way for the Venezuelan government to acquire dollars because of the United States sanctions. Also, this week, the Venezuelan government sold like $500 million worth in gold to Saudi Arabia in cash for cash. So they are like doing a lot of crazy. They're taking like a lot of crazy decisions in order to have liquidity for them to keep supporting the military forces and keep staying power.
Wow. Juan Galt, any I'm sure you've got some more questions.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to kind of reiterate one of the points that you touched on, which is this is something that I read recently, trying to understand what's going on down there, and I found it completely fascinating. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the oil industry in Venezuela is nationalized, and the profits from that are going directly into Maduro's hands in order to fund his own government. Is that correct? Up to recently.
Yeah, is that correct?
Yeah. So there's this article that I found on Twitter, and I just posted it under your live tweet on Twitter about the show, Adam. And it was written by a guy that was kind of a liberal activist, researcher, academic, and it's a really great sort of long piece about the political backstory of Venezuela, but also going through the sort of the political backstory of socialism in general. And I have to recommend that article because it really revealed a lot of elements that I haven't seen anywhere else in the media, and I've been paying close attention to the story. And that was one of the things that was interesting, is that he's actually funding his own operation through the nationalized oil industry, and that was interrupted recently by the Trump administration. So that's a big sort of new boycott essentially that happened. Is it also true that money is now going to Juan Guaido?
Yeah, they control. I think not yet, but in the future, Juan Guaido and the opposition will control those accounts. Actually, they are in the process of naming a new CEO of Citgo, which is the company who handles the Venezuelan oil in the United States. So yeah, the problem is that they will handle the accounts, but they cannot handle the oil in here, because obviously Maduro is not going to sell any oil to the United States if they are not going to get paid for it. So, but look, man, if it weren't for the United States or any outside country helping us, I think that there is no way we can get rid of these guys. There is no way that we can do it by ourselves.
Now,
they are too deep into the control and power.
The new leader, Juan Guaido, he is not a conservative, correct? What would you classify him as?
Look, I didn't know this guy until he was named the president of the Congress, and I'm so happy that because you got to understand something. Also, a lot of opposition leaders have been involved in corruption cases, working with the state, getting rich from the state, from Maduro's regime, and working with them. So in the past 2 years, there was a sentiment here in Venezuela that we were lost, because even if our own leaders were working with the government, what could we do, you know? So after Juan Guaido was named president of the Congress, there was a sense of hope, because it's this new young guy that have never been involved in corruption and that have never been working with the state. So there is new hope, because there is a chance that this guy is working for get Venezuela into a better place and not just to put money in his pocket.
Well, good. This is he did come out of nowhere. That was kind of odd. And I want to ask, is his life in danger since he has no control over the military?
Yeah, probably, man. They can take him into jail. I don't see the Venezuelan government doing that, because if they do that, trust me, the United States F-16 would get here like in a minute. So I don't see them doing that. But yeah, he's in a dangerous place right now. But you know that those are risks that he's gotta take in order to take the Venezuela in the good path again.
Yeah, that actually is a very good point. Since the United States and Canada and France recognize this guy as the leader, if he was suddenly murdered, I think we probably would. The F-16s would start flying at that point.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. But what I was thinking of is I thought they took away his passport, like they don't want him to leave. I mean, he might be under some.
Yeah, he cannot leave the country right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, life has to be in danger. I mean, this is a critical sort of crisis moment for Venezuela, and everybody's paying attention. And he is sort of the lead sort of knight in a sense in this fight. I mean, as one of some of the things I read is he was American educated, right? So that's important to know. I think. One of the things that I've heard, one of the critiques of Juan Guaido is that he's even less popular in Venezuela than even Maduro. I don't know if this is true, but I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about how the media works in Venezuela. Like, is all media state control? Is it all owned? Is it all under the hands of Maduro, or is there more sort of free competition in media, such that he can make his case and still lose, right? Because if he can't, then it's not a fair criticism.
No, all the media is controlled by the states. You have some like freelancers who do radio and something like that, but even they are being chased by the government. There are some like private companies, but those companies are owned by some of the leaders of the regime. Yeah, they're private, but they follow the government. And if you don't follow the government, your channel gets shut down, and they take your company, so you have no choice. Actually, the government they said that if you name the Juan Guaido on national TV, you will get in jail. If you say something about a new president in charge, you will get in jail. So there is no free speech or free thinking in here.
So is he less popular than Maduro? What do has everyone heard?
In what sense? I don't know what you mean. Like popular, like there are more people supporting Guaido, or popular in the sense that nobody knew this guy after he was named president of the Congress.
Well, you know what? I really should have a better source. I think my understanding of the claim was that he had his ratings were lower or something like that. But again, like I think that story is in those stats are probably, people should really do some double checking on that. I'm just sort of kind of relaying the narrative that I've heard in sort of popular media in recent days, but I don't know exactly what they meant. I think it was around the approval ratings, but probably also like people don't know who he is. So
no, he has a lot of people supporting him. I'm going after the show. I'm gonna look at and send you guys some videos and photos about the protests that have been going on here. You can see the amount of people supporting Guaido and the very little amount of people supporting Maduro, because the government have done a lot of protests too, and they're paying people and from other states to come to Caracas to protest, because they don't have enough people to make it seems I don't know, decent, like a decent protest. And the amount of people that have been to the street supporting Guaido is crazy, man. It's crazy, like millions and thousands of people following this guy. he has a lot of support from the Venezuelan people.
Now, I want to ask about that, because and I believe you 100%. There are people in the Western world who've said those are fake. That those protests really didn't happen. They happened, right?
Well, there is you can like check yourself. If you take that picture and you put it into a Google search engine, and I don't remember how to do that, but you can check if that picture is fake or have been taken like 6 years ago, or if it is a picture that was taken today in Venezuela. You can check it by yourself, man. Actually, the government is using fake videos and fake pictures in order to make it like an image that they have a lot of people supporting them to this day. And it's funny because last week in one of their protests, they put a video of a protest that was placed like 3 years ago, and Maduro was talking while they were displaying the video on national TV, and then in the video was Maduro in the protest. So he was talking and also in the protest. It was really funny. Like, these guys really don't know what else to do in order to like make an image that people are supporting them while they're not.
Well, you see, and that's it. Who? I mean, give us the other side. Who would support Maduro at this point? What constituency would support him? Just those who work for the government, who are in with the corruption? I mean, is it that doesn't seem like a very large part of the population?
Those guys that have been brainwashed, that like they believe that all our economic problems are because of the United States. But those people are a very, very little amount of people, and I don't see how can you support it. You're starving, and most of those people have nothing to eat. Most of those people are dying because they have nothing to eat. So how can you support the regime that is getting you killed, man? I really don't know. Those guys have been brainwashed.
Yeah, that's a hardcore believer when you're starving and you're still supporting they're just not very intelligent at that point. They're not thinking. And
yeah, but well, man, you got people supporting the Ku Klux Klans today. So yeah, people are crazy, but they're not like they're really small niche.
I want to bring up one thing about we're getting to a little bit of Bitcoin here real quick with Juan Guaido did mention Bitcoin in his past, which is I guess that's a positive. I don't know if that's being blown out of proportion by the Bitcoin people here. I comment on that, but there was a question from the audience. Vention Bigtal sent $5. Thank you, Vention. He said, any progress with the Bitcoin Lightning Network in Venezuela? The wallet of Satoshi is an amazing thing.
Not yet. No, there is no real adoption. You have some people like me and other guys like playing with it, but no real adoption right now. We don't have time for that, really. We're working on getting people to use local Bitcoin in order to avoid hyperinflation, and I think that's the best use case that you can have, like using Bitcoin to save your wealth and your life. It does not get better than that, really.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. That should be the prime concern right now. And once everything settles down, then they can get into Lightning Network and making little transactions. Right now, it's not about sending like 5 cents to someone. It's about like preserving any wealth you have in Bitcoin. Actually,
it doesn't make sense because, you have bolivars in here. You want to spend your bolivars. You don't want to spend your Bitcoins. So you use your Bitcoin as a store of value or a way to take your money out of this country in order to acquire dollars in your bank account that's outside your country. And but there is no real reason in order for us to use Lightning Network right now. There will be in the future, but right now Bitcoin is working just fine for us Venezuelans.
And I had a question about local Bitcoin. Someone tonight asked me before I arrived here, do you think the local Bitcoin numbers are accurate for Venezuela? Because they're like tremendous, the statistics.
Yeah, they're accurate. Well, actually, they're better than you see in the charts because, like you know, I have a company that helps other companies acquire bitcoins through local bitcoins, and we have been operating for the last 3 years, and we know a lot of other people who are also traders in local bitcoin, and sometimes we transact outside of local bitcoins in order for avoid that 1% fee that you have to pay. So there are a lot of people transacting like not using local Bitcoin's platform. So the volumes are higher than you actually see in local Bitcoin charts.
Very, very interesting. Now going back, I want to ask a Russia-China type of question here, because their best interest is keeping Maduro in charge because they want oil, right? I mean, is that the way it is?
Yeah, and because they are lending money to Venezuela at these crazy rates, like 36% or 20% a year. So they're getting rich while we're getting poor, and that's why they want to keep Maduro's in place, because if Juan Guaido gets into the president, into the formal president of the Venezuelan government, they will probably they won't pay that debt because it was like illegally acquired from the Venezuelan government. So there is a chance that China and Russia lose their money if Maduro gets kicked out.
Yeah, they'll default on the loan. Yeah, whatever. I mean, that would be, a lot of countries have done things like that in the past. When it's China, what do the people of Venezuela think about China?
We hate it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Russia too. Yeah.
Well, for the average Venezuelan, what's more favorable, China or the United States?
No, United States, man. So the United States have helped us to like to handle this situation that without their help we wouldn't be able to get to this point today. You know, I think we're really close to getting out of this trouble. I'm not talking like in 2 weeks or 2 days. No, I think that we will be in this situation at least 1 or 2 years more.
Oof.
But yeah.
This can drag on. This is going to drag on for a year. I mean,
yeah, I think, and you gotta understand, it's not easy. These guys are not going to give away their power that easy. So if we get military intervention, it's not like in a day we will kick out all these guys, you know. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. The economic crisis is going to get worse and worse every day. A lot of people are going to die, but I finally have hopes that I see the light at the end of the tunnel, man. Yeah, awesome. It's going to take a little bit more time, but we have been through this for 22 years, man. And if it takes 1 or 2 years more to finally get my country into the right path and get out of these communist and socialist guys and drug dealers, terrorists, and finally put Venezuela in the place that it needs to be, well, man, I can't wait, really.
All right, Juan Galt, I'm sure you've got some things to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think nobody would like to see Venezuela turn into a kind of Syria or, some kind of Middle Eastern kind of like battleground like that. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's sort of aim at that not happening. I think we do have an example of the North Korea conflict de-escalating quite well under the Trump administration. I think that's something that shouldn't be ignored. And I know there's a lot of thought around anything that Trump does, but it seems like there was actually good stuff that happened there. So hopefully it will be a situation like that, like the escalation of North Korea, but in Venezuela, and that I think would be excellent. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I really hope that there's a reasonable, peaceful transition, and I really looking forward to a peaceful Venezuela, because all Latin America is feeling it. I mean, and everybody. This is a problem that's very very obvious to anybody that's paying attention. We saw Colombian president, the Brazilian president, Peruvian president, and the Canadian government all back Juan Guaido. So
the European Union also.
Who else? The United Kingdom.
European Union.
European Union.
Right. So this is a very serious sort of move. It's probably the most serious I've seen ever in regards to the conflict in Venezuela. But I mean, I'm not a historian, and I know this has been going on for a while. So let's hope that this, that a good transition occurs here.
Something that I heard, that is there something called like the Uruguay Plan? There's some plan by some local some countries around there, a way forward or something like that. I forgot what. I knew Uruguay was named in it. I don't. There were some other countries. Do you know what I'm talking about, Maximo?
No, I really don't.
There was some liberal politician in the United States that said, well, they should just follow the path that was devised by. And I forgot. I forgot. I should have looked this up beforehand. Oh well. Because again, there are just a lot of people in the United States that think anything the United States touches, any side that they pick is bad, is wrong, and it's a conspiracy, and it's all some master plan of the United States. So there's both on the liberal side and the conservative side, there are people that are in the United States that just do not trust what side the United States picks, that they always pick the wrong side, and maybe Maduro isn't that bad, and we don't want another Libya there. I mean, just let's ignore it. Let them take care of their own problems. And I mean, what do you have to say to that? I mean, this is your pitch to the people of the United States, to just to tell them whatever you want to tell them, I guess.
Yeah, well, actually, I think that Trump has done a pretty good job in the United States in his president period. And there have been thought spread around him since day one. And I think it's just the press and the system that don't want Trump to be in there. So they're paying all these journalists and all these people. And of course, I don't agree with everything Trump says or does. I don't agree with the way Trump treats women. Of course not. I don't agree with like how he refers to the wall that he's going to build. I agree with you gotta have control in your immigration process. Of course, you gotta have control in your immigration process. But the Trump administration have helped this country a lot. Something that the Obama administration did not, because Obama, I don't know if he liked a dictatorship or something, but he could have helped us early, and he didn't, And Trump administration have helped us, and it's time for the people to stop believing everything they read in the newspaper. You have to be smart. You have to stop being an 80%er, and to do your own research and make up your own mind in every situation that you see in life, like politics, economic, or and social situations. You cannot just follow what you see on CNN or something like that. And look, if we get through this, if we Venezuelans get through this, I think that there is a brighter future for us, because now we don't trust the press, we don't trust the politics. We saw that socialism and communism is just a fantasy, that they don't work in real practice. We learn about economics, we learn about what really real money is, like real censorship money, and that's Bitcoin and nothing else. And besides that, this has been a terrible experience. If we get through this and we get these guys out of our country, man, the amount of learning that we can teach our kids and the new generation about all these 22 years, it's amazing. It's amazing, and we will not be in this situation anymore. in the near, nor in the future.
Now, I want to go back one final thing, going back to the Panama situation in 1989. It was at the end of 1989, and it lasted only a month and a week or something. It went into 1990, and it was over. And I think the main goal of the United States in that operation was to get rid of to capture Noriega, which they did.
Yeah.
Would you be up for just I mean, if the United States could send special ops in there just to capture Maduro, would that solve the problem?
No. Look, I don't see the situation playing like Panama, just as I don't see the situation playing like Libya or Syria, because first we don't have like religious cults being involved, so that was one problem in the Middle East, like the religion, and it's not going to play out like Panama because Noriega was not like in charge of the whole army, and the government have created like I don't know how to say it, like a small groups of people, a small groups of radical people that they gave guns to them. So if something happens, even if the military forces don't support Maduro, you will have like a decent force of civilians, radical civilians with a lot of guns. I'm talking a lot of guns, serious army that will fight for in order to keep Maduro and his regime in charge. So I don't see lasting. If we have like overseas intervention in here, and the United States government sending military forces to Venezuela, I don't see it like they can get rid of this problem like in a month. No, it will take a little bit more than that.
Oh God, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Sorry, yeah, Ron.
This is a very delicate situation, in part because Venezuela has a lot of experience. I mean, sort of Venezuelan sort of radicals, let's say, have a lot of experience in guerrilla warfare, right? Like for those not familiar with the history, Colombia and Venezuela, in a sense, like they were united back in the day, but there's like an old guard communist sort of political branch that became sort of the Maduro regime today. And those guerrillas were sort of inside Colombia as well. And there was like a long 50, 60-year guerrilla warfare in Colombia, and that was in part supported by the Venezuelan politics, from what my understanding. You're right. I'm no expert on the matter, but
no, you're right. You're right.
This is the equivalent. I mean, it has been made equivalent to like a Vietnam War, right? Like if the United States went into Venezuela in a heavy military force, it could be a long, prolonged sort of forest-style guerrilla warfare, and that's the worst-case scenario. I think, yeah. So I don't think we want to go that route. The good news is I heard something about Maduro saying that he's interested in talks. He's open to doing talks, and I guess that means talking with Trump about it, or like the Trump administration, right? And I think part of the goal is to start privatizing some of the industry, obviously because America wants to get in on that, right? So, and so I think that would be part of the solution. If the industry is privatized to some degree in Venezuela, that's going to shift the balance of power a little bit more. It's going to certainly destabilize Maduro's regime. But I don't know. I mean, I think a full-out war would be is it is a sensitive moment, and it's important to really avoid that, because that would be terrible. And people in Colombia sort of have very personal experience on what it is to try to fight guerrillas. It's really hard, very hard.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't see these guys leaving this country peacefully. Really, they have so much to lose. They have so much to lose that I don't see them living peacefully. Unfortunately, man. But we will see. If they live peacefully, bro, that would be amazing, really.
Where would they go, though? That's the problem. Like, where would they go, right?
I don't know. Cuba, maybe. Russia, China.
Go to Cuba.
Man.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, that if I was Juan Guaido, and I will like tell these guys, like, okay, you stole a lot of money, you kill a lot of people. You know what? We forgive you. Leave this country. Take all your stuff. Leave this country. Never come back. And we'll do nothing to you. Like, go to China, go to Russia, go to Cuba. Just leave Venezuela alone. And that for me, that's good enough, man. I just want these guys out of here. They already stolen money. We can recover ourselves. We have really smart people and really hardworking people in here. And if that's what it takes, like, to forgive them, bro, I signed the paper, you know? Leave the country, take all your stuff, take your family, go to Russia, go spend your life in there, and leave Venezuela alone. That for me, that would be amazing, but I don't see that happening.
And, you know, I don't want to, you know, we can't change the past and everything, but I want to ask, if the people of Venezuela had guns like the people in the United States do, would this, it would never have come to where it is right now, would it?
Well, look, Ukraine. People in Ukraine had guns, and there was a civil war, but it ended up quickly, you know. And yeah, probably look. It's not coincidence that every communist state, the first thing they do is put gun controls in their country. It's not a coincidence. It's a strategy. It's a really a known Cuban strategy to take the guns out of the people in order for them, for when they want to protest, you can shot them and you can kill them, and they will get scared, and you will take control of the population. It's as simple as that, man. You should have the right to defend yourself against other people. You should have the right, okay? So the Second Amendment rocks.
Pound that like button for the Second Amendment, people. All right, let's wrap it up. Juan, any final thoughts, and then Maximo.
Thanks for coming on. It's a fascinating conversation. Again, I linked that article below. I think it's a really excellent, very educational read, very profound, sort of detailed read on the matter. It's linked below your tweet, Adam Meister, about this live show, and let's keep talking about it. Let's see how things continue.
Yeah, Juan, thank you for that link. I will actually add it below this video right after we get off the air and everything. And I'm so happy to have you on, Juan. Really great questions. I knew you'd done some good research into this. And of course, the star, Maximo, dude, it was an honor to have you on the show, because there's so much false information out there and so many people jumping on this, you know, United States is evil, thus let's forget about Venezuela, you know, storyline, which I am, you know, I've had you and others on this show. I've been following this situation for quite some time. And, you know, from the Bitcoin perspective, but still we've gotten bits and pieces of beyond Bitcoin from you also. And yeah, it's pretty bad what's been going on there. And it's true what's been going on there. And it's true that the people are tired of this stuff and that it's complete corruption in their government. So your final thoughts, Max.
No, thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure for me to like spread the word about what is going on in here. And thank you for all the help and all the content you create about Bitcoin. It's really helping people in here. Like I always say, every guy who spread the word is saving one life at a time here in Venezuela. So, and actually there is another interview with a friend of mine. He did an interview with Pump. I forget the name of the guy, like Edwin Pompiano or something like that. He had a podcast on YouTube, and he interviewed my friend. He goes like his Twitter handle is CodoX. So go and listen to that. It's also a great interview that have a lot of insider info about what's going on in Venezuela.
Actually, send me that link, and I will put it below this video. But yeah, go on to what you were saying.
Yeah, sure. And don't believe everything you read about Venezuela in your socialist network media that you have in your country. Like, do your own research. Listen to the people who is living in here. Listen to the people who is starving in here and who is struggling in here. So you can have like the real picture. And yeah, that's it, man. And I can, anytime that you want to know about Venezuela, hit me up, man. I will answer you on Twitter, and follow me. I do that. I tweet not a lot, but I retweet a lot of stuff about my country, so the guys outside can see what's really happening here.
Okay, we will include all those links. And I think he makes a very good final point there, people. in this time of incredible technology, incredible communication, we've got a bunch of people believing what some people in an office in LA or New York write, while all we can all easily get in touch and watch what actual people in Venezuela are saying. Why not get the news from the horse's mouth? That's what this show has been all about. We went straight to the source. We didn't have Fox do it for us or CNN tell us what's going on. We went to a guy in Venezuela. It was simple as that, and I think we need more people to do that. It's not that hard to do, media people and other. You don't have to be in the media to create something like this. I created this. I do a Bitcoin channel, so it's not that hard. But again, thank you very much for being on and telling us everything that's going on down there. And I'll update the links right after we go off the air. So, all right, dudes, I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the links below. Once I update them, pound the like button, bang that bell button to get a reminder. I do a new show every day. We'll be back with Bitcoin stuff tomorrow, which is Monday. And I guess if you're in America, don't get too drunk today and have fun watching TV. See you guys. Bye.